episode 15. Paul Salgado, how are you today,
Glad
sir?
you remembered, host.
How you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Good, what's up?
The first one of the year.
I'm happy, excited.
How you feeling?
I feel good. Good. Took some time off. Getting back in the swing of things again. Coming back harder than ever. Coming back better.
You got any New Year's resolutions for us today?
I'll be starting a workout routine here shortly. So I'll keep you guys posted.
What you gonna do, man?
75 hard.
Get some.
Trying to get you into it.
You know, you got to be really dedicated to start that. We've had this conversation.
What are you doing? You're doing something, though. I can tell you look good. Tanning.
Why do you always got to mention my tan?
It looks good.
No, I'm just trying to be the best version of me. I know that sounds cliche, but I do. I just want to make sure that that I'm just keep getting better and keep getting, stronger. What about you?
Yeah.
Other than 75 hard. What are you going to do?
That's it. And obviously we got some big goals for this podcast, this platform, but those are TBD, working out some stuff. But I did promise the listeners we would be trying new things, new techniques to get people involved and just get the word out there, get the message out there. So
sounds good, man. I think we had a great podcast with Ryan, don't you?
Yeah, Ryan's great. Ryan's a pro. Glad he took the time out to come out.
Yeah, just a quick shout out to Ryan with Powerline Podcast. I mean, he's got a passion, man, for what he does, and really easy to listen to. I think all of us can relate to it. So yeah, all of our listeners, if you haven't seen or heard, episode 14, go back and take a listen. There's a lot of good nuggets of information within that podcast. So go check it out.
Yeah, Ryan's great.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to our next guest. I think it's a great start of the year.
Yeah.
And kind of like Ryan, this guy in front of me, man, he has a passion for a lot of things. A lot of passion. And like Ryan, like I said, he's got a thing about him where he wants to lean into change. And he just said that here as he showed up. And I think that's a huge benefit for us all. Ryan, he's innovative, just like our next guest here. And I'm looking forward to having a good conversation with him. But, when I talk about innovation, what do you know about innovation? What do you know about innovative people, Paul? I mean, does anybody come to mind there?
I think you, not to be blowing smoke.
Somebody famous.
Oh, okay. You got...
What do you got that's just the most innovative, maybe two people?
Nikolai Tesla, man.
You were going to say that. Everybody says that.
Come on, man.
What about Steve Jobs?
Yeah, the whole...
Pretty innovative.
Yeah, innovative technique, innovative leader, very upfront leader, but his technology is kind of withstanding the time here. But I can't quote him, but I think it looks like you are.
Well, I'm prepared.
All right, cool.
So, anyways, I got over the holiday, I got a pretty good book, and I'm gonna share it with everybody. Actually, a little shout out to my daughter; she got it for me. And you're a book nerd when for Christmas you get a book. So tell me you're a nerd without telling me you're a nerd.
You might have to change your hobby, like a shoe nerd. Oh, you are a pretty good shoe nerd.
Just showing just being vulnerable here for everybody. But no, I got this book from my daughter. So shout out to Madison. Thank you. And it's Leadership in 100 Quotes and it's Steve Jobs. And I thought I'd start with, before introducing our guest, which I'm excited to do, is just read a quote and talk about this quote a little bit. So innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower, Steve Jobs. So this quote came out in 2010 when the year the iPad was launched. Steve Jobs' words suggest that it is the ability to come up with new and vital ideas that sets a leader apart from others. And I truly believe our guest today is gonna do that. Just that. It's not just innovative tools, but innovative ideas to take this local into where it needs to be. And I'm really excited to introduce our next guest, Colin Lavin. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
How you doing today, man?
Fantastic, man. It's a Friday. Looking good.
The weather's great, right? Not to brag about Southern California, but it is. I think it's 75 degrees out.
Yeah, in January. Sorry about that.
Are you ready to do this? Or?
Yeah, I have my mic off real quick. I'd take a drink of water.
Yeah. So, anyways, good weather, and glad you came out. I know you're a busy man. You carry a man of many titles, as we just talked about. But currently, you're the business manager and financial secretary for Ibw Local 47. What is that job? A lot of our listeners may not know.
Still something I'm wading through and figuring out. Thought it was going to be something easier than what it was, and watching my dad do it for so many years with ease, it's really turned into a passion of mine. to kind of follow in your father's footsteps. But as those reins got handed over, I quickly learned that I was a little behind on learning the curve and in my leadership skills.
So what was that? Well, I mean, we'll go back to your early life and
Sure.
kind of growing up with your old man, but like, what was that conversation? How did that start with, by the way, you know, we need to start talking about next steps for you. What was that conversation to end up taking his job? Like, how did that even come about?
It was really a short conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, working under my dad for the last 15 years was kind of all the training without being told it was training, all the different facets with our jobs that he put me into, the different cities, municipalities, you know, private
Mm-hmm.
utilities, covering all the grievances and bargainings. And then one day he just had enough and decided that he was going to retire and looked at me and asked me if I was ready.
And you said, let's do it.
I said, no better time than now. Let's go.
That's awesome.
Took me by a little surprise, but
Yeah.
you know, it's something I leaned into, and we're getting through it.
Nice. Well, again, man, congratulations on that. I think we're all excited. I know you. I mean, we've been getting closer and, you know, understanding each other more, and the, you know, new roles that we've gotten a chance to be a part of. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
And-
Both new, right?
Yeah, both new at it, and I think it says a lot to you too, as well, to accept the challenge and jump right into it. You know, because it's going to be a job that's going to take probably a lot of time and effort, and, you know, planning. You know, like I said, I know you and I have talked, and you got a lot of plans ahead of you. It's every time we talk, I think we need to improve here. I think we need to do better in here, and that's kind of why I quoted Steve Jobs, because you're always looking for fresh ideas and innovative ways to get better. But where does this come from? Like, you know, obviously I want to hear about you and growing up, and, you know, just growing up as a kid, you know, like tell me a little about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, growing up with my family in Chicago, a little different there, right? We have weather. You talk about nice weather out here. We would have snow drifts in the backyard where we'd dig in, make, you know, snow castles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, dad's always working, always out at work, providing for the family. That's I think where I really learned my my backbone for hard work.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, that work brought him out to the California, you know, West Coast area. We got all the sunshine and all the work out here, so it worked out real well.
Nice. Can you remember growing up in Chicago, what that was like as far as, I mean, your school? I mean, was there a lot of...
No, I went up to third grade out there.
Okay.
A lot of
You're a youngster.
a lot of family. Yeah, about 7 or 8 when we moved out here.
Okay.
And then went back for family, you know, outings and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I remember a lot of it. Just, you know, having your cousins around you and your family around you, which is something different out here. Although I do have one set of cousins that live in the San Clemente area.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's nice to have family around you. You know, dealing with having such a father like Pat is amazing. He's pretty harsh as a dad, puts his foot right in your ass and expects you to do something about it and adapt and overcome. And that's really how my childhood was brought about.
Yeah, it's about hard work. You know, I think that's the same for me growing up as a kid is, you know, my dad was pretty tough, you know, on me, but I think it was always for the best interest, knowing, you know, like you got to grow up, you got to be tough. These things, challenges are going to occur. And I think once you got through them, it makes us who we are today.
No,
You know,
definitely.
sure.
And I gave him a run for his money. You know, he tried to, like we all try to corral our kids. They got a mind of their own, and really, I ran around them as much as I could.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, like, I don't know, Paul, if you feel the same way, but we had some pretty cool stories from Pat, and, you know, a lot of them, anybody wants to go back and check out a good podcast, that's one of them, episode 1.
That was a good one.
And it's, you know, there's a lot of cool stories, and I bet you had a lot of cool stories today, you know, as far as things that have happened with him, and, you know, lessons and learn, you know, I mean, it probably just goes on and on. Is there any that stick out that you can think of that we may not know or that we haven't heard? I mean, we hear a lot of stories, but what sticks out in your mind? Is there a lesson?
I mean, being a young kid with my dad and going to Notre Dame games, you know, being dragged around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, all the way to Indiana. So that's like a 2-hour ride. That was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
Going fishing as a kid, you know, doing the things outside of the house. That's always the fun stuff for me.
Nice.
Big stories like, you know, someone bumps into you and he kicks the shit out of him. I mean, it's really, he didn't take much for an answer, and he didn't take no lip, which is very, very funny and telling of him right today.
Yeah. But I do notice that, you know, there's times where, you know, he does listen too, and does have a lot of good to say about, you know, lessons learned and, when he knows he's right, but he also can listen and tell you, a different side of it, which is, I think, unique in his character.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
that's what I see.
And for all of us, I mean,
Yeah.
when mistakes happen, and look, he's not perfect, I'm not perfect. We've all learned our lessons over life and as we live. But when you know better, you do better, and you move forward. So that's really kind of the mantra of the family.
Yeah, that's awesome. About early jobs, did you have any early jobs other than? But we'll get into a wireman. But
Yeah,
before that,
paper boy. Quintessential paper boy, throwing the paper as a kid.
Out of your bike or
on a bike. On a bike, getting up early in the morning, 5 a.m., trying to wrap everything and get the rubber bands.
We're kind of the same age. Did you ever do the yellow pages? Did you ever deliver yellow pages?
I did not do that. No.
That was like the thing for us. Like,
you deliver those?
Yeah, you probably know the yellow pages are.
Yeah, I remember that. I'm right there. I'm close. But no,
it was like a quick. It was like I forget what we got paid, but me and my brothers would go deliver yellow pages and just throw them out.
Throw them out on the same thing as a
newspaper.
Yeah.
We just go out and deliver yellow pages, and I can't remember, but it was pretty good money. I mean, back in the day, we were little kids. I remember.
I think Yelp kind of ruined the yellow pages at this point.
Yeah.
And even like what are kids doing nowadays? It's just kind of are they doing paper routes anymore? No, I don't think so.
No, not
right.
at all.
Kids that aren't of the age of working, right? Because you were probably doing that when before you could even.
Yeah, it's 12, 13.
Yeah, you didn't have a license, right?
Right.
You're out there on your bike, and it's just different. The culture is different. But I guess we'll get into that later. So, so let's talk about you being a wireman. So obviously you're a journeyman wireman and cable splicer.
Definitely, yeah, journeyman wireman. Yeah. I tried getting into the apprenticeship for the outside lineman, but at that point I didn't really have a license that was conducive for me to work in the trade. So I went towards and gravitated to the journeyman wireman.
But the wireman will take you.
Yeah, because there you just show up to the job site. You don't drive company trucks. I mean, some guys do, but the majority of guys just show up to a job site and work from the job site.
I got you. So what's that apprenticeship like?
That's a 5-year.
5 year?
Yeah, 5 year. Right when I got in, they went from 4 to 5 years. It's 2 days at night. Kind of follows the schedule of a normal school.
Mm-hmm.
Through a junior college.
Gotcha.
So you got your OJT in the day, and 2 days a week you're going at night for book work?
Yep. And then with the inside wireman, they have a lot of upgrade classes. So after you journey out, I mean, it's kind of neat, something that we don't have here.
Mm-hmm.
But you can take any kind of upgrade classes. It's something that you pay for and go in and do at their apprenticeship. And that's how I got my cable splicing is I went and did a class for about a year for hand taping and cable splicing and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's good, man. Did you ever run a crew, or were you ever foreman, or were you just?
Yeah, I ran a crew. For my background as a wireman, I worked a lot in the school system during the summers because that's where a lot of the money was.
Okay.
And then outside of summer, I would go work at the refineries because, again, those are a lot of the 12-hour work days, just 7 days a week, constantly working. Because just like power, they want gas, so they keep the oil refineries open and moving.
Did you find some, as running crews and running projects, you find any challenges that you had to overcome as as typical, like obviously as a line crew, as I'm familiar with, there's always challenges, personnel or.
There's challenges with the job site itself, challenges with personalities, which is probably a bigger part of, I think, our job, and knowing the tools that you have in your toolbox. Yeah. And sometimes those are people and personalities, and knowing where those people can fit into your crew and fit into the job as a foreman really can help out with the flow of that job and the flow of the work.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on, I'm glad you mentioned that with like personnel and personalities, but what's your thoughts on the culture and, building it right the first time? Because I know as a foreman, probably for you, like when you're bending pipe and doing stuff as a wireman, like you got one opportunity at it, right? I mean, you're there, it's got to look right. And me and Paul were talking about this, kind of the difference between, wiremen and journeyman linemen. It's really similar.
It's extremely similar.
It's really similar.
Ohm's law works the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's the same equations. I think the biggest difference is probably voltage, right? Because it's much, much higher here on the outside than it is on the inside. And then it's not heights because we work high too on the inside. I've worked at the refineries up on smokestacks, a couple 100 feet. Worked at the ports. So I worked up in cranes, 250 feet. So the heights is all the same, but really the voltage is probably the difference in call-outs.
Call-outs,
Wiremen
right.
don't do call outs for, days on end. That's not how they work.
I got a buddy who's a electrician, and we were doing a little project at the house, right? And we had to run some pipe and EMT, and we're bending stuff, and he's trying to show me, and I'm like, it looks fine. Like it's fine. It's gonna make the corner. And he's like, no, he's doing offsets and
3-point saddles.
yeah, it's just
it's an art.
It's what I'm getting at is it's a little bit, the craftsmanship's a little bit different.
It is. It definitely is. Like I said, it's
You open up a panel, like it's right there at eye level, and I've seen a lot of work that's got some really good craftsmanship behind it, the quality, right? And I don't know. I'm just trying to think of ways to improve as an industry, our craftsmanship and that mindset of when you leave a pole or you leave a project, whatever, you're looking at it and you have pride in it, I guess, right? And is that something that's instilled as a journeyman wireman, like as an apprentice, or how does that?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
how does that?
Again, like we were talking, very similar, right?
Yeah.
The journeymen that are training you as an apprentice, that take the time to slow you down to make those bends correctly, or cut all the pipes so that all the couplings are on the same length, they're not all scattered on a big raceway.
It's like little things like that I think we got to drive in to
and
our
I think
workforce.
that really comes from the older generation passing it down, and I think that's probably a big part that we're missing here. Is people are too quick to get done with the day and move on with life, and maybe technology and cell phones kind of ruin that, because that puts us in connection with other things going on throughout the day, where back 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have that, right? Like when my dad was coming up, or the older guys coming up, there's no cell phones to keep you occupied when you're on downtime. So instead, you're probably putting more time and effort into the trade itself, where today it's, it looks good, let's go, we got beers to get, or whatever people are thinking they got going on for the day.
Is there anything else fundamentally different from inside to outside that you've noticed? I see, you brought up the training. Raul's mentioned that before. I know he's passionate about extended training as a journeyman lineman, but is there anything else besides that you've seen, that you've taken away from being inside a wireman that could transcend into outside construction?
Well, I'm going back to my earlier statements. I mean, the ability to have continuing education, and again, where I came from, that was something that you did on your own. It wasn't something a company paid you to do or trained you on. It was a different facet of the job that you wanted to get into. So you took it upon yourself to go down and take the training and take the classes, which I think you get more value out of that going forward.
Cool.
Making yourself more of an asset for the company.
Yeah. You're kind of increasing your stock a little bit,
Exactly.
Like, you're just not the journeyman. You got much more about your I don't know, just your credentials, right? You've done more, you've seen more.
You've become a commodity, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you can be used more with your employer.
Crane certifications, whatever, splicing. I think those are all good things. And I think that's something that we definitely got to get back to or help with in our trade. It's not you get your ticket and that's the end of it. There's so much more out there.
So much more than that. I mean,
so much more. Yeah.
Once you journey out, to me, that's just the beginning of your trade, and that gives you the bare bones. But going forward, you really got to work at becoming a better journeyman, and then passing that down to the next generation. Because, like for me, I blink now, it's 25, 26 years.
It's crazy.
And I remember being young, going, man, that guy, 26, 28, 30 years, and
now you're
it's going to take forever. Yeah, now I'm coming up on the heels of my dad, in his generation. It's like, wow.
Yeah, we were in a GF meeting this week and talking with the GFs. There's 8, 9, 10 guys. I'm looking around. I'm like, man, me and another dude were like the oldest guys in the room, right? And you're thinking to yourself, has that been that long? And I guess that's what our passion is in doing this podcast is like, giving back. Trying to be not just a better version of ourselves, like I mentioned, but to give back to the trade as much as we can. With having guests like yourself on to discuss, things that we can improve on. Everybody has a story. You have a story, and
definitely,
and to, time capsule that in a way to where people can learn from it. It might just be one guy. Who knows? Or
it gets the ball started and rolling. What's tough that I've noticed about any of our trades is as the work comes in and we can't fill those jobs, we then begin going to the younger and younger generation and ask them to step up. And sometimes that's a little funky because you don't know.
So true.
You don't always know what you get because you're trusting that people are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Even like when my first foreman job, that was back when you had to be in the field 35 years before you even got a shot. And then it's like, who's this young kid?
Yeah.
But it ends up working out if you work hard for it.
I'll tell you what, there are some, to your point, that, we are asking our younger guys, less than 5 years journeyman experience, to run crews, GF, superintendent, right? These are guys that,
Right.
Are taking the leadership roles and running with it. But I'll tell you what, there is a lot of talent too in that space. There's not all negative. Are some guys that really grasp the trade really well, really quick. They may not have the experience, but man, they got some pretty good knowledge behind them. But like you point, like we're running out of resources to where we have to do that.
Right.
What's your thoughts about bolstering that? So knowing that challenge and knowing we have a younger workforce, what are some of the things we could do to increase their experience and still put them in those positions? Because we got to fill the jobs.
Right.
I mean, that's
we got to do the work.
Got to do the work.
The big thing to me is probably just have everyone slow down, which isn't how we operate, but that's, put things in front of you that you can see and that you can work on and deal with, and then have those experiences, because it just takes time before you get them. I mean, at 5, 6, 8 years as a journeyman, you haven't been exposed to all the problems yet.
Right. Yeah.
And it just takes time.
I think we got to be careful too, putting people in positions and then not giving them the resources they need to be successful, right? And just assuming they know what to do, or not having that red flag, or that, hey, let me help you out with, let me reach out and see if I can help you with something.
Or, given a foreman time to look at our switching procedure, not giving it to him that morning, maybe giving it to him a day or two ahead so he can study the 45 or 85 steps. Because I see that being a big problem, at our exam board. Guys are making mistakes because they feel jammed up to get something done when it really don't need to work that hard and that fast.
Self-imposed time pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can definitely discuss that a little bit, but you mentioned the exam board. I don't know if everybody knows what the exam board, would you be okay with
Sure.
just going through what the exam board does and their role in that?
As an overview, Local 47 has an examination board with 3 voted in members of the membership, which currently are all journeyman linemen. And as there's problems throughout our jurisdiction, whether it's accidents or people not taking jobs or failing drug tests, whatever it is, we manage our own members, and we bring them in, ask them what's going on, if they have any problems, they need help. If that's not the case, then we get them training if they need training. But if they're also a bad apple and we can't deal with them, we can do fines or even up to suspending their ability to work in our jurisdiction.
Yeah. That's got to be some hard conversations
It's tough
with individuals,
It can be. And I think we've all been there. We've all had bad days. Like I said, none of us are perfect, but to strive to perfection is where we need to be, because we're selling a product. And if we can't sell our labor, we have nothing else to sell.
Right. This year's pretty critical too, right? Coming up.
We got a big year this year.
Big year coming up for the local.
Negotiations. Big year. Yeah, negotiations on every front.
On every front, yeah. How does that make you feel? I mean, coming right into it, you got probably 6 months under your belt.
About 9 now. Yeah.
9, excuse me. 9 months under your belt.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Going into it with a pretty, I don't know. It seems pretty tough.
It is, and being involved for the last couple of years at that higher level with negotiations gives me a lot more experience. But like for our outside agreement, it is a 2 local agreement. So we have 1245 and 47 together on a statewide. So we get to kind of do some teamwork and deal with Nika, our nemesis, so to speak, who's always looking for a cheap deal, and I learned from my dad that everyone wants a cheap deal, but nobody wants to give us a deal.
Yeah.
So we're going to work hard at that as we move forward.
Yeah.
When do those negotiations begin, Colin?
We have a couple dates set aside. I believe they're at the end of March,
cool.
And then some in April, and we're going to work with those dates that we have so far.
So March leads into April, and then when could we expect to hear some type of talk back? Is it after April?
We depending on what happens at the end of March, we might have some bulletin board notices out there, and then we have another set of negotiations scheduled later in April. And by that time, if we can't get a deal done, obviously we'll have an announcement at that time.
So April-ish, late April, May, we can expect to at least hear a little bit of the rumblings.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, we'll hear them. I'm gonna keep the membership well informed of where we're at and what we're doing. I think full communication is how how we go forward.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I want to talk about your transition into the office or into IBW, into the union outside of work. How do you feel about that transitioning? I mean, you said you're a negotiator, so did you jump right into?
No, I mean, leaving the field and coming into the office was a little different. I mean, being someone's kid is always a tough deal. Even when I was in the field, you look at people and go, "Oh, that's that guy's kid, or that's someone's cousin."
It's kind of like being the baseball teams play baseball coaches kid, right?
Right. And then all of a sudden
you're on first base, and
now I'm it, right?
Yeah,
now it's like, hey, you're up. It's like, damn, okay.
Right.
And I thought long and hard about taking the job offer from my father, and I thought it'd be better to be there with him than to wish I did it later. So it was one of the best choices I ever made.
That's awesome.
Was coming in the office. Now,
what was your first position in the office?
Started as a worksite organizer. So I was able to go out and organize the non-union contractors into the union and really meet people at a ground level and help change their lives, giving them dignity in their job. It's not always about money. Sometimes it's just about respect when you're dealing with management and different non-union companies.
What were some of the biggest things that were added value when you said you're transitioning an employee from being non-union to union? What were some of the biggest things that you brought to the table?
Healthcare, retirement. A good hourly wage is one thing, but to have that backbone of a healthcare and retirement, 20, 30 years down the road is significant. It's huge.
Yeah. Is that where your kind of negotiation trade of the talent, I guess? Is that how it started as being an organizer? Because you're basically selling the union program to a non-union individual or a group.
Yeah, it's tough because you try not to sell people like a salesman. It almost seems cheap, but really it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, being in the union is a lifestyle, and going forward, it's tough to do that without calling it sales.
Sorry about
that. Yeah, because I can see like a guy coming in like yourself, and he may have been doing that role in that position for that company for years, and everything's fine, you know, and the company or the guy might be thinking, "Oh, it's just wants dues, right?
Right.
Or he just wants the doby or whatever, right?" And it's not it. You're there to change somebody's life.
Change somebody's life
awesome.
and build our jurisdiction, build our membership, and that brings us, in my opinion, more power at the table.
Yeah.
I mean, for negotiating, when you have everything, you have all the workforce, that's quite a force to deal with. And that's kind of the position we're in today.
What was the next role after you've done the,
So I did organizing for about 4 years. Really took to it real well. Understand contracts. It's a lot of reading, but understanding people skills and being able to talk to people in hard situations. And some of the other staff asked Pat if I could move up to be a business rep and help out in other areas. And then I moved into being a business rep and representing a lot of guys on the Edison company and working through grievances and arbitrations.
Yes, man, you got a pretty good history of negotiating and people and, like you said, contracts. That's a whole nother
lot of facets. I mean, you have grievances, arbitrations. There's what's called the National Labor Relations Board. That's really who governs the government agency that governs utilities, employers, and unions alike, and keeps us all in check.
Yeah.
How so, Colin? I'm sorry. It's just I've never really.
Right.
What's their role? I'm sorry.
So the National Labor Relations Board that's the board that covers the National Labor Relations Act. And that act is the rules that employers and unions have to abide by as an entity between each other. And so when we want to organize a group or bring a company into the union, normally the company doesn't want to be in the union, but it's really up to the members or the employees if they want to be union. It's not a company option.
Wow.
And if the members or the employees decide and they take a vote, I mean, it's democracy. They take a vote, and if they vote they want to be union, then we sit down and bargain. We organize them, we bargain the agreement, which can take some time and be hard. We've had a couple of those where, it took 2 years and those employees got tired and voted us back out. So we've seen both sides of it. It's not always bliss.
Is that percentage 50 plus 1? Do you remember the percentage?
It's 50% plus 1 of who votes. So it's not of the whole group, although you're assuming the whole group's going to vote. Oddly enough, some people just don't vote. but it is 50% plus one of the people who vote.
And that's in or out as a union.
Yes.
Vote you in or out.
Same thing. Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
And you need,
Awesome.
just to add there, you need 30% of support to go to an election. And then obviously the 50 plus one to win.
Man, it's all interesting. All the behind the scenes stuff that happens when, you got to go. And that's at the state level too at times, right?
It can be, it depends.
Right.
If it's public, they have
Yeah.
PERB, which is kind of the mirror of NLRB for the state. And
Yeah.
then NLRB is the federal government.
Wow. It's a lot to it, guys. It's a lot to what you're doing for us. So you took the business manager role here. Has it been what you thought it's been, or
Not at all.
has it been more?
I quickly learned probably within 2-3 weeks that I was a little behind the ball on understanding,
Yeah.
just the sheer size of this job and the different facets, right? Like dealing with the NLRB, dealing with the state, dealing with politics, dealing with attorneys.
Let's talk about the size. When you say size, what does that mean? Because
Size of the local or
size
size
of the local,
Right.
like-
So currently our membership is around 14,000.
Mhm.
And we are in 14 counties in California. So our jurisdiction rolls from roughly Fresno property line all the way down to San Diego, and from the water to the border of Arizona. And then we have kind of the top middle of Nevada. So we actually have some area in Nevada, which there's some big transmission jobs coming up in the future there too. But also the sheer size of different utilities, munis, contractors. So, we have...
how many utilities are there in munis? Do you know offhand?
Well,
I know that the major ones, obviously.
yeah, our biggest utility in our area for private utility, IOU, and then we represent, maybe another 8 munis that do water, gas, and some do electric.
Wow. It's a large membership.
It is
14,000.
very large, very diverse, and everyone's got opinions.
How many, if you don't mind me asking, do you know how many linemen that makes up that 14,000?
Off the top of my head, I'd probably say maybe 3,500 if you go between the contractors and utilities. Yeah, and then we have travelers too. So, probably around 4,000 total, 4,500.
Did you think that number was that high?
I thought it'd be higher. Honestly,
That'd be higher?
I thought it'd be higher. Yeah.
Interesting.
What about you?
I thought it was actually, I don't know. 3,500 seems high, I think, to me, but I guess.
But we're growing. It's
Yeah.
the sky's the limit. So
No, there's another 700 apprentices coming behind that.
Yep.
Hiring.
And they're looking to add more coming up here in February.
Yeah, talking about the 300 apprentices this year, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's growing, buddy.
Great time to open up the new apprenticeship up north in Woodland. So we're looking to expand.
Raul said his arm's still sore from cutting that number 6. The clients.
Single-handed cut. All right.
It's been a while. Huh?
It was hard drawn.
They were brand new. They were brand new clients. You know what that's
you
like?
didn't try to score it a little bit.
No, I didn't try to
we just
scream
went
it.
for it.
I just went for it. So is there, we talked about you being very innovative and, new ideas as the business manager. Obviously the size and what you're taking on is tremendous. It's pretty phenomenal. What are some of the things you think we can get better at or that you want to improve in?
Get better at is listening. Paying attention to your job. I said, the only thing we have to sell is labor. And if we can't study enough to pass our tests, that's not good. If we keep having circuit interruptions, it's not good.
Yeah.
Accidents, they're not good. That's the biggest thing that the employers are looking at from a safety standpoint. And at some level, no one's pushing us that hard. Like you said, Paul, it's all self-imposed timelines, and I don't know why. It just seems to be an industry issue that if we can fix that and curb that, I think we'll be a lot better off going forward, because the work's here and we got a ton of it. So there's no reason for us to work ourselves out of any situations like that.
Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think as an industry, there's a culture or mindset that things got to be rushed. Even the basic stuff, just having a job briefing, and just like rushing through that, and
right.
and don't get me wrong. I think there's crews. This is not, a statement that's everybody. Obviously there's, I think there's a lot of guys out there that do take the time.
Oh, if there's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's done every day, right? I mean, but there are some. I think there is a culture, like you said.
And those are the silent guys we don't hear from, right? Because they're doing their job.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the truth. They're busting ass doing their job. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's good. It's good stuff.
I had a question before.
Yeah.
Colin, you may mention that the size of the job, the sheer size of being a business manager, kind of gave you a step back. Obviously, you've been since 2005 as part of the IBW Lucky 47, and you had your dad to kind of mirror what that role would look like. But when you got in that seat, what was that challenge, that job, that thing that shocked you?
Well, moving from, like a business rep, assistant business manager type role, which you have kind of a singular facet, into all of the facets.
Sure.
And so it just, the volume is much larger, and you really have to step back and delegate.
Yeah.
Have good lieutenants under you and delegate and create a structure, which I'm in the middle of still creating and implementing, and it's working out real well. But having it all in front of you so you can see how sheer big it is, it's tough.
Wow.
But I got my head around it now, and we're doing good.
Yeah, I gotta hand it to you too. Like when you came out with the business managers minute, I don't know if we can talk about that too a little bit. I thought that was a great way to kind of unite the local under one platform, right? And obviously effectively communicate with from the digital marketing perspective. I think it's is that something you came up with? Because I think that was.
I'd like to say I came up with it on my own, but we did steal it from some other locals. But the reality is, creating a fabric of communication is how we're going to get better.
Yeah.
Right.
From my role as a business manager all the way down to the lowest guy on the totem pole, if we can't talk to each other, that's a problem.
Yeah.
So being innovative and seeing what some of the other locals were doing and communicating through some of those platforms is huge. Something else going on is, like we all have kids. My kids are turning into 16, 17, 18-year-olds. They're going to be joining our workforce, and that's where they're at. The young people are on social media, and that's how they live.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to make that pivot and that change in order for us to grow.
Yeah, there's so much that I think we can learn from in that space, because you're right. Like the guy, that's what they're doing. They're in their phones. I look, over to my daughter. She has her phone in her hand. Everywhere we look, it's there. But I do think there's got to be a time when we just leave the phone, put it away, right? And I'm starting to learn that value too, just within myself, because if it's sitting in front of me, and we're doing family things, you just tend to go towards it because it's constantly.
Looking, I don't know what we look at, but we're just looking.
We're just looking
at the news, looking at emails, and you just looked 2 minutes ago.
Right.
It's like nothing changed.
Yeah.
Nothing changed. But that's that instant
gratification.
Right. Right. And society has gone to that. Everything's quick.
Mm-hmm.
Our internet's not fast enough. My phone's not working, but really nothing's changed.
Power's out.
Yeah, power's out. Yeah.
But the power of the communication tool, I think, is where the value is in our trade. And I think that's with this podcast and with, the social media and what you're doing, to get everybody together.
And I'm looking to build bigger on that. Really, we're still working on an app. I came in with that as being one of the big things I wanted, and it's taken a little longer than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
But building it the right way so we can communicate is really what we're looking for.
Yeah.
What's your goal with that app? If you don't mind me, if you can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, being able to communicate through the app to our members, probably the stewards, so that they can get the information out to our crews. The hard part is with social media. As of late last year, there were some bad things that were going on, some suggestions to wobble jobs and call in sick. And one, we can't do that, but two, there's confusion because no one can hear us. At the same time, I can't be out there telling people to do any of that stuff because that's not where we're at, and we can all get in trouble. But one of the big goals for that app, like I said, is communication, moving in dispatch, some kind of digital dispatch.
Yeah.
It's a little arcane for our reps to sit there and call people till 4 or 5 o'clock at night to see if they want to work.
Yeah.
So there's got to be an easier way, and some of our sister locals have already done that through COVID, right? And they don't have to see or touch as much paperwork and expose themselves to any possible sickness. So
efficiency too.
Exactly.
right? It's like real time efficiency.
We take hours to run dispatch, and we should be able to do it in 20, 30 minutes, as I've seen some of the other locals handle.
Paying dues through the app, I imagine, too?
Paying dues, merchandise, all that kind of stuff, Can
we expect this year, best case scenario?
I would expect it this year.
Cool. Thank you.
One way or another.
Man, new stuff. Dropping here live.
What do you know?
Hey, come on.
Right here first on the Power Element podcast.
We need a plug. We need to plug on the app. Just
get out of here. Oh man. So as you're growing and, taking on the role, are you noticing any immediate challenges or things we got to fix change wise, other than what you've mentioned?
Just sometimes we're our own worst enemy. We get stuck in the rut of what we learned. And that's really where I try to embrace change. When I hear we can't do that, or that's not right, or we never did it like that, I try to really focus in those areas and either understand why we can't change and then try to force that change. Not in a bad way, but just change is constant. And if you don't embrace it, you're going to have problems.
So upcoming, we got the, you just mentioned you got a Stewards Convention upcoming, right?
Yeah, March 5th, we have a Stewards Convention coming up. There should be a invitation coming out to all of our stewards probably in the next week or two. We were set up last week, but a lot of the changes with LA County has kind of changed the way we're communicating what you have to do, where, be. But that should be coming out here pretty soon. We've booked as a speaker with Echelon Front, Jocko Willink, and a couple other people from his team. So we're real excited to see a change and a pivot in the way we operate.
Man, I got to hand it to you for that. That's exceptional. I think all the stewards are going to really enjoy that.
I'm really looking forward to it. Fun time. Like I said, this is a huge aircraft carrier. It's not that easy to pivot, but we're going to turn this thing around and go in a different direction. Yeah,
and the Stewards Convention, that's a pretty unique thing too, as far as for the local, right? It's done every year. Last time I went, obviously it was pre-COVID, but man, I want to say it was at least 500 people, if not more.
Right.
I mean, right? I mean,
it's from all walks of life. We got all the munis, the IOUs, contractors.
Yeah. Guest speakers.
Guest speakers.
Entertainment.
From all over. Yeah, some fun entertainment. And I want to continue with that. And I think this year is going to be, in my mind, like I said, a pivotal movement. And we want to change the direction and the understanding of what we should be doing as members of the IBW and as a workforce who, like I said, is selling our labor to the employers.
Yeah, I think, and back to being a steward, being a steward and the relationship and, partnerships between management, I think that's so critical. And I know you feel the same way, the same passion in that. What's your thoughts? Because I know our superintendent, our superintendents and our stewards have great relationships with the guys, and if we want to focus in on a safety topic or, some sort of maybe a new compliance training that we got. I mean, we try to engage everybody, but it's through that steward, right? Typically leads our meetings. What's your thoughts on that relationship between a steward and management?
I think it's huge. They're basically our eyes and ears out there on the job site. And again, going back to that communication, if we're not having it, they don't know what we're doing. We don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So to have that role of a steward be in the room with management and continue that goodness of wanting to be safer and change and train, I think is fantastic. And the better relationship, us as a union, our stewards and the companies have, I think the more healthy of a job site and workforce we're going to have.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man.
Sometimes we don't get along and we have grievances, and there's a course for that, right? It goes through grievance to LMCC to CIR, but the more we can avoid that through a relationship is the better for our trade.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because I mean, when a steward and management is working together and as a partnership, there's just so much more and so more efficient we can be, right? I mean, at that local level, right?
A lot more value.
A lot more value than it going to labor management or anything, grievance procedures. If you can work that out,
right,
whatever the issue might be, because typically it's just a relationship and miscommunication.
Sometimes it's ego.
Sometimes it's ego. And if you could check the ego, we'd all be better, right?
Sometimes it's very simple, but again, these are old ways that we work that I want to bring a change to, and hopefully bring that relationship to a level where a quick conversation can fix things.
I know we were trying to look for, stewards there, not here when we got our steward, but before. And you seem like there's guys not taking those steward roles as much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For various reasons. I don't know why, but we're, this union is only here because of its members, right? I'm just the leader today. There's going to be somebody else here a different day, but the union itself is its members. And if its members don't want to step up to help lead and change and do the right thing, we're going to limp along. We're still going to be here. We're just not going to be the best that we can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. I think the local has a lot of good things too. I mean, Pat worked his ass off doing what he did and putting things into place. What are some of the things that you're not touching? Like, it's perfect the way it is. Is there anything that you're just like, that you're like, man, that's...
I never really looked at it that way. Because ever since I got this job, I changed about everything he's touched.
Yeah, you heard
business
it here first.
Cards, letterhead.
I know, right?
I'm buying different trucks. Not all on purpose, but again, I'm also trying to be, a man of my own, which is a tough shadow to come out of.
Yeah.
And
it's a Hall of Fame lineman, not just the business manager, financial secretary for what is it?
Very true.
15 years?
22.
Yeah. 22 years?
Yep.
Oh, man, I missed that by a whole lot.
He reminds me.
But he's also a Hall of Fame lineman too, so you're right.
That's something pretty cool. I mean, not everybody gets to go and do that. He worked his ass off and earned it. So it's real good stuff. Yeah, it's good for our local too. I mean, it just shows the kind of workforce that we have out here.
Yeah. I think you're the perfect guy for this position, man. Not just because you're Pat's kid. I think it's one of those things where you have a desire and a passion to improve, which is a value to me, just as a hand as well too, man. Like, and even as a manager, like, you want to improve. I'm all about that. What do you think? What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. Just
improvement and to hear that.
Yeah, I've gotten to know Colin over the past few rodeos and talking to him, but just hearing like it's a business, and you need the right person in that business to lead it. Yeah, and definitely have a swing of things. So,
I certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
And again, going back to being a young journeyman, you want to make yourself a commodity, and I want to make sure that the members understand I'm here for them to back them on anything that we got going on, and I want to do the best I can, as if I was in the field looking at that guy up there going, hey, what is he doing? Why is he doing that? And I want to try to give back to our membership as if I expected it from being a member in the field myself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, as far as innovation goes, I wanted to bring up an old topic here, an old document that me and Paul asked around if guys even know what it is, and we got mixed feelings. And it's a term we use all the time. It's actually in our agreements. I'm sure you've read it, you've seen it there too, and it's the Ibw Code of Excellence.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, Code of Excellence. It's there.
It's there, and it's like it's something. I don't know, Paul. I mean, you asked the question. You thought it was interesting. You asked some linemen. Right?
Yeah.
You asked, what do you know of the Code of Excellence?
Yeah, it was just, because Raul and I had a kind of mixed opinion, or just really didn't know how to tackle it, because it's really not. It's something that's might not be in the forefront as far as literature that anyone's looking at.
Yeah.
So to bring it back, and Raul and I read through it pretty good, and it's like this is a fundamental baseline for how
what you're talking about.
What you're talking about, and how we should kind of brand ourselves.
Yeah, so our international offices, came up with this Code of Excellence, I don't know, a number of years ago, and it's worked well with, bridging that gap of relationship with employers who don't either understand us, and you bust this out, and it's like, oh wow, that's a good backbone. But being members, sometimes we don't follow it the way it's written, or even apply it properly.
And there's a whole, it's a partnership though. When you read this, it's like a partnership between labor and management. Like, we both are in it together.
Definitely.
Right. And when I finally pulled it out, and I got to be honest too, like, I haven't read this thing in probably 5 years.
Right.
And I go through this document, and I'm like, wow, like, we just talked about that. Like, we just had a safety topic on that. We just, from a culture perspective, this is where we need to set our baseline, just bare minimum, our foundation. And I wanted to do that today with you, if we could, because it's the beginning of the year.
Definitely.
I think it's a good opportunity for all our listeners,
Wireman
or whoever, journeyman, whoever you are, whatever classification you hold for the local.
Right.
Like, this is the foundation of what we're selling, right?
This
is it.
This is a baseline of where we should be starting from, and then working better off of.
Yeah. So if you guys are okay, I'm just going to read a little bit of it and we can maybe talk through it a little. Just not too much time, but I would like to get your thoughts on specific points.
Sure.
So the Code of Excellence, IBW. And when I looked up the word code, a couple words popped out. Principles being one of them, and culture of it being a code. So the Code of Excellence, it's about your culture. And that's what we're talking about, the foundation.
Culture of excellence.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Well,
good.
yeah. So the culture of excellence. And then when I looked up the word excellence, interesting, I saw a couple words, greatness and champions. And what better industry do we got to be a part of to be champions than this one? Right? So the Code of Excellence, or the culture of champion of the IBW. The Code of Excellence is a program designed to bring out the best in our construction members and demonstrate to our customers that IBWers, and here's the 3 things, perform the highest quality and quantity of work. Number 1. Number 2, utilize their skills and abilities to the maximum. And 3, exercise safe and productive work practices. It's pretty basic. And we just talked about all that right now in a nutshell. I mean, we went through all of those. We went through the highest, being a quality workforce, having the skills or training to back that up, right? And then being safe, obviously, and being productive. So we'll jump right into it. So the code, starting with the letter C, come to work on time, fit for duty, and ready to work. I've heard you say that in your business manager's minute.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It starts right from the start, right, guys? It's
showing up, being ready,
on time, fit for duty, and we talk about that all the time.
That's your boots laced up, and being ready for work, not showing up with your
hungover.
Boots. Yeah, well, not hungover, not untied, not hey, I'll get it in a minute. It's you show up to work and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. The O in code: obey, recognize customer and employer work rules. All the rules. D, demonstrate zero tolerance for alcohol and substance abuse. I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
Fit for duty, right? The E, exercise proper safety, health, and sanitation practices.
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty.
Yeah.
The O, own up to 8 for 8 and be on the job unless otherwise allowed or authorized to leave. Colin, you mentioned that. Why are you in a hurry?
Right. No, it's everyone's looking at what they got going on later in the day or what they got plans to do.
Yeah.
It's tough. And, we all have life, but sometimes you got to stop and do your job.
Absolutely. The F, follow safe, reasonable, and legitimate management directives. So that's like the partnership, in my opinion. It's already starting. If the employee has to know, or the hand has to know, what's the expectations, right? What is expected of me? And if we're not doing that as management, that's foreman, that's general foreman, that's not just
all the way up.
It's all the way up, right? It's setting those expectations, and that's management's responsibilities to do that, right? Paul, you want to take the excellence?
Oh yeah, gotcha. E, encourage respect for the customer's rights and property as well as for others on the job. Your brother's keeper, pretty much, right?
That's
keep your tools, keep your hands off your other guys' tools when they're in the bin and stuff like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, respect the customer's rights and property.
Oh, there you go.
That's being on the job site and a professional image, right? I mean, I kind of see that, respecting the property you're on. I mean, we all got families. There's certain things that you probably don't want your daughter to hear when she's home from school, because
you got to watch out. Those Ring videos are everywhere.
Oh, that's true.
Ring video cameras, exactly. Go ahead, Paul.
Exercise the skills and abilities of the trade. That one.
I like that. The C, care for tools and equipment provided by the employer.
Raul's passionate.
I'm passionate about that one. Obviously, it's, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of guys that take care of their stuff, and hats off to them. But there is some improvement in the sense that, every time we have to purchase a tool that's been broken, or we have to replace one that's been stolen because it's not locked. I mean, that's an added cost that we have to now recoup into our rates, or whatever it may be, or whatever project we're on. So yeah, it's our responsibility to care for those tools as if they were our own, right? Eliminate waste and other forms of property destruction, including graffiti.
It's kind of interesting.
We've seen some funny drawings over the years.
Right? I mean, yeah. And there's been some things that got escalated that probably could get us in a little bit of trouble there with graffiti. Limit lunch breaks. Limit lunch and break times to allocated periods. Adhere to established start and quit times. Leave inappropriate behavior to those of lesser knowledge. Sounds like taking care of the apprentices
Yeah,
a little
definitely.
bit, not, treating them in a way that they're in a position where they're not learning.
You got to treat them like they're your kids. They're not. They're very important. They're the next generation of the trade, and if we don't treat them right, it's gonna keep pushing on the same stuff we don't want to see.
Yeah. E in excellence. Employ the proper tools for the job and maintain personal tool responsibilities. That right there is both, I think, craft, worker, and management. Right? We got to all work together on making sure we have the right tools for the job. Do not solicit funds or sell merchandise without the business manager's approval. Have you approved that much?
No, I haven't seen any of these come across my desk.
That was Pat Lavin's.
That was Pat Lavin.
That was his big deal, huh?
Yeah, I remember one time I printed something. I can't remember what it was. The Union Bug. Oh, it was on a T-shirt.
Oh yeah.
It was just a swag shirt for the hands, and it's like that ain't a union made shirt. You can't be.
You got to be careful where you have it made.
Right, you got to be careful.
I mean, we have contractors who do T-shirts that are approved, and you just got to use the right one.
Use the right ones, exactly.
Lesson learned.
Curtail idle time or pursuit of personal business during work hours, including cell phone use.
Ooh,
it's a good one. And then finally, the last one: expel job disruptions and refuse to engage in slowdowns or activities designed to extend the job or create overtime or any other conduct that casts the IBW in a bad light. What's your thoughts on that last one?
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
That's again, that's what we're selling is work, and if we can't keep our job going and be at work, that's going to be a problem for our customers. And that's the important part with our representation.
Yeah, guys. So, I wanted to take a moment. Obviously, this goes on and on, a little bit here on the management responsibilities. But I think, for this discussion, it's a good foundation. It's a really good foundation just to start and to just hit the reset button for us all as the year starts up. And, I found this online. I don't know, for all our listeners, it's easy to get to.
ibw.org.
Yeah.
You can find this on the website.
A lot of good stuff on that website.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things on the website. Grabbed it and
Roll,
good discussion.
I guess as a hand, you could take a lot from this and reflect on it. But as a business, as a manager, does this kind of hit a different tone too? Is this something you can kind of look at and say like, yeah, this is a good about a foundation for me as well?
Oh, absolutely. You mean looking at me personally?
Yeah. Well, you running a company.
Oh, as the manager?
Yeah, as a manager.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It's
because you can kind of stray away from the fundamental of things. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm the worst at it, is adding more and more to rules and procedures and policies and training and innovation. Like that's kind of my passion, right? And giving back to the trade. And yeah, you're right, Paul. When we started talking about this is like basic fundamentals that really solves all of our problems.
We don't have to invent anything. It's all right here.
It's right here.
Nice and simple. Not too many rules, Raul. That can drown us too.
I agree, man. But on the flip side, these other rules or things that come into place is because I've heard you say in one of your minutes, like these rules are there because somebody got hurt.
Definitely.
They broke maybe a fundamental rule.
There's a reason why it's called a red book.
Right. Yeah.
It's written in blood.
It's written in blood. Exactly. And so I guess, yeah, Paul, you're right. If we can just fundamentally go back to basics and simplify things, this would be it.
But I think with Colin representing the union and yourself representing the running of a company, and then as a hand, you can say like this encompasses everyone's opinion, and it's a good partnership, as you said. It's a good baseline partnership for all of us to kind of abide by. And we all signed it. We've all been. This is not the first time we've seen this document, but it kind of goes under the wayside. I'm glad we've had this conversation with Colin and at the beginning of the year.
What do you think about it? I mean, you're from the field. What do you think about just the basic? What's your thoughts on it?
It's this. Everything up to this conversation has been reflected on this paper, and like you said, these conversations come up in the safety meetings that reflect this paper. And some of it's written real easy and it's kind of fun to read, but it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense, and we could really learn from it.
It's really the foundation, like I started of what the IBW culture should be. Is the basic. And if I'm a hand or a member in the field and I'm doing something that's outside of our culture, I don't need a manager to tell me a rule that I've just violated in the company red book or the company rule book, because it says right here, that's our code. It's our culture. We should kind of, I guess, self-check ourselves that that's not going to be tolerated here. Right. As a member. Is that your feeling?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we got to look inside ourselves and make sure that we're checking ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Again, checking that ego. We're not better than we think we are. And if we can operate by a set of rules like this, it provides a better product for our customer and again, training for our apprentices and the other fellow journeymen around us.
Yeah. And there's management responsibilities too. Like I mentioned, it's not just the men. Like I got to take ownership in it too. I think that's where you were going with that question.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just a really good document. It was just pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we did ask a few linemen when we were kind of reading up on it, and it was kind of like, this is something that should be hanging in offices and something that should be, in your folder, just to kind of reset.
Well, like you said, Colin, though, like if there's an issue with employer and the membership, this is one of the first things that's right, kind of the foundation right back to it. Like, okay, we're going to hit the reset button.
Yeah.
And we're going to dive into this and uphold this code of excellence or this culture of champions, right?
Definitely puts a marker out there
Yeah.
where we can work from and have common ground.
Yeah. No, all good conversation, guys. This is awesome. What's next, Paul? What do you want to do?
You want to take a pause? You ready?
Yeah, let's do a little pause. I think this is a good opportunity right now. Take a little break. I mean, that was a good conversation, long conversation. It was good.
That's good. There's one question we wanted to get through, Colin.
Go for it.
When you're done as a business manager,
I was going to leave that one for last.
Never mind. We'll go back to this one. All right, here we go.
No, you already teed them up. Let's go.
All right, when you're done as a business manager, and it's all said and done, however that ends or begins, what does success look like to you at the end of it?
Success for me would be growing the membership, double, triple in numbers, and having the workforce be well trained and well hydrated to continue on.
Oh,
nice.
Sorry, I
Like
stole
that.
your question.
You did. I was
Trying to stump me or what?
I was going to try to phase into a closing statement, but he just took it. So I'll let him close the show today.
Oh, no. I got buttons to push over here.
I got buttons to push.
All right. This is my favorite segment of the show. We're going to lighten it up a little bit. This is Pause with producer Paul. We got some funny questions for me. We got some questions from the gram, and then we'll get into Raul recommends. First one, we're going to go with Raul.
Oh, I guess first, though, I thought.
Yeah,
go for it.
You're tanned and you're pumped up. All right. What are you known for being king of the grill for? So what do you do?
Oh, man, barbecue chicken.
That's it?
Yeah, that's about the only thing I'm
just
really good
You
at.
just open the package and throw it on there? Come on, man. Open it up.
Gosh, this is the grill expert.
What you got? You doing a little marinade?
Well, it's got to be organic chicken.
All right.
Only thing my family eats.
All right.
It's definitely got to be bone in. So it's got to have the bone in it because I think it's gonna cook well on the grill. I'm gonna add some lemon pepper on it, some lemons, and throw some barbecue sauce on it.
All right.
Does that fit the bill?
Hey man, it's your question.
Pretty simple. You like a char on there? Or?
Yeah, a little. Yes, you know what? I like it a little bit, charred.
You use a thermometer, or you just going by squeeze? You touching it?
Oh, I can just tell by just the way it looks.
I'm not eating over your house.
We certainly don't want them touching it.
No, I ain't touching it. But I'm gonna throw corn on the cob in there, and I'm gonna do it up.
You go husk on?
No, I'm not gonna do it the husk on. I'm boiling it.
All right.
You just said you're throwing it on the grill. How's that work? When you're boiling it?
A little burner next to it.
I gotcha.
I'm gonna boil it and put some tahini on it and call it good.
Ooh, now you're talking. All right, Colin, what you got?
Tri-tip.
Oh,
I like to smoke tri-tip for a couple hours and then finish it on the grill.
I like doing that.
Yeah.
Which tri-tip you buying from Costco? Or?
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Prime.
What's it? Maria's or
Santa Maria?
Santa Maria's?
Oh no, I marinate my own.
Oh, you marinate your own?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
What you got? Can you tell a little bit of your marinade?
Oh, the super secret sauce? No.
The-
Not real simple. Salt and pepper, maybe some other dry rub, but really keep it simple and let the smoke work it. And,
Nice.
and then trying to char it on the barbecue, finish it on barbecue.
What are you cooking on?
Traeger, little tiny Traeger. Nothing too big.
What kind of pellets are you using?
Whatever ones I can find.
There you go. Good question. All right, here we go. Next question.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
That was good. What about you? Come on, man. You're the grill expert.
Ribeye, easy. On the Weber kettle.
Look at, he's going to go down right now. Let's see it. What else?
Indirect, over to direct, 125. Pull it, let it rest.
What kind of rub you using?
I use my special reload rub, fully loaded. Just go for it. A little bit of olive oil as a binder. Call it good.
Sounds like you studied for that.
Well, he had the question.
It's my segment, man.
It's his segment.
My little moment. All right. We'll go with Colin first.
Mhm.
Should be pretty funny. Hope so, or I'll get fired. All right. A habit that you have that your spouse cannot stand.
I want to be right.
I want to be right.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably
It's a tough one when you're married.
yeah.
'Cause you don't really get to have it all the time.
What's that saying go? My wife may not be right all the time, but she's never wrong. Right?
Pretty close. I don't know.
All right, roll.
I'd go with the happy wife, happy life.
That's pretty good.
I think we all got beards here. I think it's got to be the beard clipping on the. After you're done, I try to clean it the best I can, but man, you just can't get it all up, and I think that's probably one of the things that just irritates the shit out of her for sure.
Oh, on the sink.
Yeah, on the sink, the beard clip's on the sink. Like you try to clean it, you try to do your best, but you're not getting it
It's
all.
everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
All right, that's a good question.
All right,
All
I'm
right.
done with it.
Favorite James Bond actor?
Oh, it's got to be Sean Connery. Is that what you're talking?
Yeah.
Like the OG?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either Sean. I mean, yeah, I won't say Sean Connery. Sean Connery for
Sean
sure.
Connery, yeah.
We got to go with that one.
All right.
What was the other guy? Roger Moore,
Roger Moore, Daniel Craig now. He's a new one.
Daniel Craig, and then there was another guy in there. Pierce Brosnan.
They did Pierce Brosnan. Yeah.
Oh, he
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, he did a couple.
He did it. But it's got to be Sean Connery
Yeah.
all day. Hunt for Red October.
We'll go Colin with this one. Best prank someone has played on you.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, I don't know. So,
He's a Lavin. No one's fucking giving him a
well,
prank.
I'll tell you what. So,
Oh yeah, Lavin's are the prankster.
Lavins are the pranksters.
no, I was an esteemed drinker as a young man, and my dad had found me in the backyard one day, passed out. So on my 21st birthday, clearly before I was 21, on my 21st birthday, they threw me a surprise party, and he put my whole bedroom out on the front lawn.
That's awesome.
That's brutal, man.
It is.
Oh my God.
It's a rough life over there.
That's totally your dad.
But pretty neat that we can, poke fun at it and then and have fun. So
That's awesome.
I roll. You got anything?
Best prank. I gotta go back to maybe when I was an apprentice. Like I can't think of. I mean, who's gonna pull a prank on me now?
True.
Get fired? No. I think I gotta go back to when I was an apprentice. Probably the zip tie on the drive shaft,
oh, that's a good one.
and could not figure out what the fuck was wrong with my 1972 Nova. You know what I mean?
Slapping around.
I'm like, what the heck is that? Driving in and out of the yard for a couple days. I'm like, what is
oh
that?
wow, went out more than one day.
I was like, I'm done. I can't. Yeah, it was probably the best prank that was done to me.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah.
Big jokester. All right. Question from the gram. We got a few. We'll get through these. You guys, thank you for submitting these. Please continue to submit them when we bring them out on the story. We are going to send you guys some swag. Here we go. I do not know how to say this. I'm going to try not to butcher this. Lalo Magana _04. Here we go. What were some of the key steps you took that you would advise others to be successful, Colin?
Jeez, is that just in life or
Whatever you want.
Yeah. No, I mean, just be persistent in your pursuit for happiness. I mean, work hard at your job. Like I said, make yourself a commodity and train yourself. If you can't get it, find it.
Well said. Roll.
No, yeah, I think he did great on that. Yeah, you got to invest in yourself, right? And you got to ask questions and grow and
Put yourself out there and lean into that uncomfortableness.
yeah. Well said.
All right. Our buddy from up north, Ben Holmes, working class 013, asks,
What up, Ben?
Colin, how long has he been growing that unit of a beard?
Well, this time I'd say probably 6 years.
There's no trimming?
Well, no, I trim it and maintain it. And, I mean, it doesn't get like this beautiful for nothing. But I've gone in and out of beards and goatees over the years. But I like what I have now.
There's probably a question there. What kind of beard oil you use?
Yeah, you got any tips?
Any tips?
Any kind that I buy at the store. Lately, whatever's they got a Target usually.
Okay.
Maestros, I think it's called.
Oh, nice.
Thanks, Ben. All right, cool. Next one, E_Moon_95. What are some near misses you have come across, and what did you do to prevent it from happening? Raul.
What did I do to prevent it that I came across?
Yeah, we got challenge you.
A near miss. Man, we are struggling with reporting near misses, but me personally.
Yeah, maybe was there a past one in your line careers or anyone you could think of?
Well, there's always things that, maybe arms breaking, wires separating, moving conductors, a good one, I think that, you got to be aware of. And yeah, there was a near miss where could have had a big problem had somebody not spoken up at the time, moving wire and getting near a traffic signal, right? I mean, those are things that guys catch while doing that. And you don't think it's that close until it's too late, sort of thing. And a lineman on my crew go down there, check it out, and sure as shit, it's getting way too close, so we had to do something about it. So I think that's the awareness is the biggest thing. I don't know if that's the question we're going here, but yeah, having the awareness on the job site and not being afraid to speak up would be another critical thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Colin, you got anything you came across in your career?
Yeah, I almost just got hit by a car driving in here, making a right-hand turn.
Welcome to Riverside.
It's dangerous over here.
All right, here we go. It wasn't _Rue_. What characteristics make a crew enjoyable? Roll.
Characteristics. You got to have camaraderie, right? You got to be able to have a good time on a crew. You got to be able to laugh, but you got to hold each other accountable too. Like I think we were talking about, not being afraid to speak up when something's not within our code or our culture. I think that's really good. Don't be afraid to engage in personal conversation too on how family life is and how things are with the kids. And I think those are all like from my perspective and seeing like crews that are very successful, they do that really well. They're, they got charisma, they have fun. They're not
swag. Huh?
Yeah, swag. Yeah. I mean, that's all big time. I think that's why we got in the business, in the trade is because of that. So, yeah.
Colin, what you got?
Treating each other like family. Like I said, hanging out, being able to know the next move of the guy you're working with and having fun. Keeping it light.
Mm-hmm.
This question will be for Mr. Lavin. Brian_Tappert asks, with inflation rising the way it is, what's Local 47's plan to negotiate a wage to keep up?
Yeah, that's the $1,000 question these days.
Yes, it is.
That money in the pocket.
Yeah. No, I mean, as of late, the CPI has spiked. Inflation's not looking good, but again, as we look over the 30, 40 years, it happens 2 or 3 times and it goes down after like a quarter. It doesn't last very long. It's not like multiple years. Most of the averages are probably 3.5 to 4. So we're going to go in there and negotiate and hopefully the membership has our back at the positions we have. And again, our outside line it's a 2 local agreement. So we have 47 and 1245 at the table and all the members of both locals are going to have to stand up and be at our back.
Gotcha. Perfect. Right. Thank you. B Gomez 307 asks, best advice for someone brand new into the in the industry. Sorry about that. Roll.
Brand new to the industry, huh?
Brand new. What's the best advice?
Man, keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're not putting yourself in a position to get hurt. I think is probably the biggest thing. Learn how to drive a truck. Is basic stuff. We struggle with that,
not just have the license, actually know what you're doing.
Actually know what you're doing. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Ask questions.
Definitely ask questions.
Yeah. Don't come into it thinking you know everything. Find a mentor. I think that's huge, is find somebody you can rely on to ask these questions. Get their feelings on it. Be fit for duty. We talked about it as a core value or a code of excellence. Don't come to work prepared mentally too.
Right. Open minded, so you can see what's going on. Don't have too many opinions, especially when you're new. Trying to tell people how to work when you don't have the experience.
And take the initiative. Read your contract. Read your rule books. Read. A lot of guys don't even do that step. They don't even open up the book. They go right to the wage.
Right to the wages.
Wages and days off.
Wages and days off.
And what did they learn from some other guy?
Right.
This is what so and so said 5 years ago. So,
Yeah.
you got to read it.
I mean, I think that's it in a nutshell.
Cool. Colin, I think you kind of answered a little bit too, right? You good?
Anything to add?
Yeah. Anything to add? Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I'm
You
good.
with it? All right. Cool. Next question. Last question from internally. Our PM always chiming in. Paul's brain.
What's up, Paulito?
Waiting for that. What is the greatest accomplishment you've had professionally and in your personal life, Mr. Lavin?
Shit. Well, the current position I have is probably the biggest professional thing I got going on. Getting married and having kids. I mean, having babies is probably the best thing that you can do as growing up. It takes you out of being that selfish single guy into being a family and being a provider. And I think it really changes the way, your life goes. You make decisions different. You're providing for people and just trying to do the best you can.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Raul, how about yourself?
I think same for me. I think this position here has really, I'm really proud of it. I think we've come a long way since 2015 as a company. So yeah, I'm proud of, all of our employees. We're almost to 300 now, if you can believe that. That's pretty good for us. And I'm just trying. Every one of them deserves the best company to work for, and I guess that's what I want to strive to do for. And then here, both of us are sitting on as a board of trustees now, which is a huge. I mean, that was a 5-year plan for me, Paul, and we talked about it before.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm really proud of to have a say in the industry, and be at the table. I think that's a huge accomplishment that I'm super proud of. And then as a personal. Obviously, my daughter. I just probably the best thing I can definitely appreciate. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm watching those kids grow. I mean, like I said, I got mine are 16, 17, 18, and they're moving on to be adults and join our workforce, join the world. And it's just amazing to watch them go from kids to adult men.
To expensive kids.
I wish it was.
I
2.
might as well have 2.
It was 3.
One girl's like 2 boys.
Oh shit! I got 3 boys.
There you go.
A lot of ER trips.
Bunch
ER trips.
It's all wrestling and fist fights at my house.
Yeah.
Colin, I got a question before we get to Raul recommends. When that transition happens from when your dad asked you to take the position, what was his advice to you, if he gave you any? None.
Didn't give me any.
Good luck.
Yeah. Now after that, months later, he talks to me a lot about where we should go, how we should do things. Probably should have had a better plan, but I think coming up under him for so many years, it's natural. It's a natural movement. It's been pretty seamless, and it's the best mentor that I can pick up a phone and call. That's kind of the neatest part. Is he's still around?
Cool.
Nice.
Raul recommends. Raul, what you recommending, boss?
Did you want to recommend something first?
Shoot, I asked the question. Yeah, get yourself a Superman from Working Athlete.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I take one every time before a podcast. Energy and Focus and Hydrate and Recover. Plug Power Element code at checkout. Check it out.
Always plugging this guy. Always.
Your recommendation, boss?
I do have a recommendation. So here recently we had a leadership meeting to start the year, and we're talking about goals and accomplishing goals for the year. But I asked some of our leaders that report to me is, what do you want to do for yourself? Like, what are the things that you want to accomplish? Outside of the rules and tools and what we got to do for the company. And so I recommended to help with that. This what I'm going to recommend today is the Power List. And Paul, you have it too.
Yep. Thank you.
It's the Power List. Andy Frisella's your daily guide to dominating life. And it's basically a way to capture critical things that you want to get done daily, right? In a simple format, in a book. It's a good journal to write in, and I like it. And I'll just kind of read how to use the Power List. Every day, write in 5 critical tasks to complete for that day. If you complete the task, put a check in the box next to the task. If you do not complete the task by the end of the day, put an X in the box next to that task. If you complete all 5 tasks that day, you win for the day. At the bottom of the page, circle the W. So once a task has been on your power list for 21 days straight and has been completed all 21 days in a row, it is now considered a habit that you will complete automatically. You must now remove that task from the list and replace it with a new critical task. The goal is to win every day. When you create a habit of winning, it creates a momentum of confidence. When you win enough weeks, you win the month. When you win enough months, you win the year. When you win enough years, you win your life. Yes, that's that easy win. So it's a great way. I'm recommending it to put 5 things down every day you want to get done and to build a good habit. It's got a great quote at the bottom too, like for this day on the day that I wrote my critical tasks. It says, "Live for the weekends, and that's all you will ever have." And it's the power list. So if you guys are interested into dominating life, it's a great way to do it.
Cool. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Colin, you got anything to recommend?
Yeah, vacation. Just get away and debrief. I think that's a huge thing. I do go up to Mammoth every year with some, oddly enough, elementary and junior high buddies. Been going up there for 25, 30 years. And just go camping, fishing, hiking.
That's cool.
Just getting away.
Cool.
Seeing the wilderness.
Yeah, you gotta, man. It's people sometimes. I totally agree with that, because if you don't just peel away and get outside of what you're doing on a daily, you just kind of get in that grind. You just never get out of it.
No,
I suffered from that too.
It's tough.
It's tough
because you don't know when to do that.
But you got to plan it, like you said. Got to open the calendar up, put the vacation down, and stick to it.
Been doing that one, like I said, for like 30 years.
That's awesome.
We're down to like 6 dudes that still go. We used to be up to like 20.
That's awesome.
And we just get away for a week and have a good time.
Shut her down, huh?
Yeah. No cell phones. We check them as soon as we check in.
That's cool. All right, Colin, that's all I got. I want to personally thank you for taking the time. Raul's going to wrap it up. He's going to have to figure out a new way to ask a question here.
Yeah, he screwed it all up.
But I'll see you tomorrow, every third Saturday.
I appreciate it.
10 a.m. I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, sir.
I'm gonna finish up obviously by thanking you for coming out. I know you're a busy man, like I said, and for you to take the time to come out and have this great conversation and go over the Code of Excellence and really just hit the reset button and start the year off right for all of our listeners, all of our members is awesome. So thank you, man, for coming out.
I appreciate the invite and anytime.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish up with kind of the importance of being a leader, but it's back to the book in Leadership in 100 Quotes. Again, thank you, my daughter Madison, for buying this for me. And Martin Luther King Day is coming up. So I thought we'd finish up with something from Martin Luther King Day. And it's a quote by Martin Luther King. And it's, "A genuine leader is not a searcher for consensus, but a molder of consensus." So I like this quote, and I'll kind of elaborate a little bit further. Obviously Martin Luther King was a visionary leader. And as a leader, he was saying, "You are the driving force. A good leader does not seek to be popular simply by giving the people what they want. It is important for your leadership to develop the rhetorical skills with which Martin Luther King was so richly blessed, so you are all able to present your idea in the most convincing way possible. It is not as simple as merely as getting your own way. An important part of gaining consensus is seeking input from those who you work with. That way you achieve a common purpose." So I wanted to finish with that quote because I think it's so fitting for both of our positions in management, right? Although we're driving forces and we're driving large organizations, 14,000 members in your case, I think we got to listen to, the needs, but we got to be the driving force and use our skills to improve, right? Technically, fresh ideas. And I think you bring that to the table, Colin. And I want to thank you. And I'm looking forward to your tenure here as our business manager. So thank you again for coming out.
Definitely. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Paul, you want to close us out of here, man? Did you have fun?
Yeah, that was great. Great.
Well,
First podcast of the year.
Yeah, it's great. Feel good.
Yeah, I like it.
So yeah, thanks again, Paul. You did a great job for stealing my final question. Definitely want to thank all our promotional partners out there at Gelco Safety, Working Athlete. Check out that Superman that Paul loves so much. Alternating Current Line Clothing. Got a special shout out to Klein Tools. Thank you guys again. Cody at Co Eyewear. Thank you, man, for everything you do. That swag at the Christmas party was phenomenal. Thank you, sir. And Superior Glove, check out their stuff. Awesome swag. Thanks again, Colin. Appreciate it. Paul, you're awesome. Everybody stay safe. Be fit for duty, and always be your brother's keeper. Thank you.